Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Chidi from the Ultimate Guide Group, your go-to place for all things adulting. So make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and let's get started. So for those who may not know, I bought my four-bed property in Essex. It's like the London Borough of Havering, but it's basically Essex. I wanted to run you through my journey of how it is I purchased this property. So if you haven't yet followed us on Instagram, definitely do. I'll wait. This is all of the different videos that we've done, all of the different reels, posts, and all of that kind of stuff. And it's at the Ultimate Guide Group on Instagram. And also make sure you subscribe to this channel. I basically bought a nearly 500k property by myself in Essex, London in 2021. Now I've turned it into an investment property. I really wanted to run through how it is I did so. So let's start from the very beginning, because that's actually the most important thing. So when I qualified in 2018, and I had this amazing person who is my sponsor. He is the best person ever. He's basically like my dad, he's basically like an older brother. And he sat me down in 2018 and was like, where is it that you want to be in the next 2 years? What is it that you want to have? I would love to have a property. And he was like, okay, let's talk about it. What is it you want to achieve, and by when do you want to achieve it? So he gave me like a 2-year time frame of when it is I needed to be able to complete on my property. So in October 2020 was basically when I was meant to have completed on my house. And so 2019 happened and I was flying absolutely everywhere, getting myself into a hell of a lot of credit card debt. And there's this video here if you're interested in watching it. I was in like nearly 30k worth of credit card debt. So I knew that in 2019 it wasn't really gonna happen. I was saving, but not really saving. And then obviously the pandemic hit. And so all of my travel stopped. All of my purchases of going to buy food here, buy food there, all stopped. Travel stopped. And so I realized throughout the period of 2020 that I would be able to save a significant amount of my salary because I wasn't going out very much. And so when it got to like May, June 2020, I was like, okay, bet. By the end of the year, I'll have a sizable deposit and I'll be able to buy my house in somewhere around the 500k mark, and then I'll be able to purchase a property, which was all wild because I really didn't even know what I wanted. And I had the conversation with my mentor and I was like, or my sponsor, and I was like, I don't know whether or not I want to buy a house in Essex because I feel like I'm about to settle down, or I want to buy a flat in London. And he was like, do both. And I was like, okay, I will, and I'm doing both. And so I, in essence, then went to, he recommended me his mortgage broker, and I went to go speak to his mortgage broker. So then I decided that I was going to buy a property in Essex, and basically went with that to my mortgage broker. My mortgage broker was like, okay, perfect, send me all your KYC documentation, so like your know your customer documentation. Provide me with your passports, the last couple of bank statements, your utility bills, anything basically just to verify who it is that you are and what deposit you're coming with to purchase the property. So I said, okay, here are all the documents, send it away and see what you can do. And so he went and spoke to all of his lenders that he has on his panel. He's a mortgage broker, and so he has access to a number of different lenders and their mortgage products. And he came back to me and said, I can quite easily find you a mortgage product with a 10% deposit that will take you up to a property value about 500 to 550k. And I was like, okay, cool, let's go. So I went and started looking at properties. So this happened around like May, June, and I really started looking at properties in April. But when I spoke to my sponsor, he was like, go and check with the mortgage broker so that you're working out what it is you can actually afford, rather than being like, oh, this is what I can afford, and not really thinking about what it is that the bank will offer you. So in my mind, I was like, well, I know that I can save about 80k. So that means that I'll be able to buy a house for 800k. But the mortgage broker was like, no, you don't have, your salary isn't strong enough. You're not buying with somebody else to increase your salary. And so the bank isn't going to be comfortable lending you all of that money for you to hit the 800k that you need for your property purchase. So let's bring it back. Let's put down 50 to 55k for the property, and anything else that's left, either put it to another property purchase or use it to furnish your property. So okay, cool, there. Lego. So then I started looking specifically at properties that were in the 500 to 550k mark. So I started in East London, which is basically where I'm from, and I couldn't find anything that I liked. And then I moved over to North London, and the places in North London that I really liked, I couldn't find anything within my budget. So I was like, oh god, this is really stressful. And at the same time, around June 2020 is when the stamp duty holiday was announced, which basically said that under 500k, if you're a first time buyer, you wouldn't have to pay any stamp duty. And so as a result, the property prices skyrocketed. And the places I was looking at, the prices that I originally thought I could kind of stretch to, were then becoming significantly higher than I anticipated, and I was just completely priced out of that market. So I went back to the drawing board and spoke to my sponsor, and he said, listen, get yourself on the property ladder, and once you're on the property ladder, you'll then be able to buy the flats, the houses, or whatever it is that you want to buy. Just get yourself onto the property ladder first and foremost. So I was like, okay, cool, let's go down to Essex, because I knew that I could get good value for money, and if I picked well enough, I should be able to get an increase in value quite significantly. So I specifically was looking at Upminster, Emerson Park and Hornchurch, just because that's where I went to sixth form. So for those who aren't from the UK, sixth form is like the school that you do from when you're 16 years old to when you're 18 years old. So I'd gone to school in the area, so I knew the area quite well. And I knew that you could get from Upminster into Fenchurch Street with a 25 to 30 minute train. And then in Hornchurch and Emerson Park, you could also get either into the National Rail, so the Elizabeth line, or you could find somewhere else and be able to get in. So I ended up doing that, and once I changed my mindset and changed my location, I went on 2 viewings, found this place, and I put in an offer. Before I was looking, there were some things that I knew that I needed to have, and some things that I knew I didn't mind not having. And I have this video here, which is the ultimate guide for you to be able to purchase your property. So definitely go and look at that video, and that explains all of my must-haves and all of my nice-to-haves. This house had all of my must-haves, but it didn't have all of my nice-to-haves. And so that is the reason why when I came on this viewing, I was like, bet, we'll put in an offer in. So the property was listed on Rightmove for 495 to 525. So that was the range. And that was, even if I went to the higher end of it, that was complete within my price range, because the mortgage in principle that I'd gotten was 500, sorry, to 550. So slap bang in the middle of what it is I knew that somebody would offer me. So then I was like, perfect, let me go on the viewing and look at it. And I looked around at it and I was like, this is all really great. I then came home and sent my mum the viewing listing, and I also sent it to my sponsor. And I also had done my own market research. So the way that you do market research is you find the property name or the road name and put that into sold properties on Rightmove. That will produce all of the properties that have been sold on that area, all of the properties, sorry, that have been sold on that road. And then you just want to look at comparables. So I bought a 4-bed property, and so I was only really looking at other 4-bed properties, and if I couldn't find any on the road, then I was looking like half a mile or like, you know, a mile away. And you're really only looking for the last 6 months, because that's where you can actually find proper comparables. So then I was looking at all of that market research, and I realized that there was a house on the road that was sold a year ago. And even though it was a year ago, it was a direct comparable because it was on the same road and it was sold for 565. So I knew for me that I could easily go up to 565 if I needed to. I just put in an extra bit of money down for the deposit. And that would still be good value for money, because the property prices most likely were going to go up in the next couple of years. And so when I went into the negotiation, I went with that market research. My sponsor had also suggested that I put in a 475 offer. And my mum had also suggested that I put in a 470 offer. So I was like, okay, let me do 470 and see what happens. I did 470, it was rejected. And bear in mind that the agent had said to me originally that if you put in an offer for 515, they would accept it. After the 470, I put in 475, rejected. And then I was like, okay, let me just put in 485. And then the agent had said, if you put in 485, the sellers would accept. So I went to go speak to my mum. My mum was like a typical Igbo woman, was like, no, put in 483 and see what happens. So I put in 483 and that was the price. So that was super cool and super cool, like super amazing to see. So I put in that price, and then I ended up, and what ends up happening once you put in the offer and it's been accepted is that your house is sold subject to contract. So basically sold subject to the contract between you and the sellers being confirmed. Then you get what's known as a memorandum of sale from the agent or from the sellers, and then that starts the buying process. The thing that I went to go and do was then speak to my broker. My broker then was like, okay, perfect, send me now your most current bank statements. So bearing in mind that I'd given in the original bank statements in like May, June, so the last 3 months before May/June, and then, you know, 6 months had gone by, so he needed to see like the next or the last 3 bank statements from December, like the 3 months before December. And they also needed to see like where my deposit had come from and all of that kind of stuff. So that's basically what they were doing, that simple KYC process. Then he put me in contact with his solicitor, and the solicitor basically did the same KYC process. So my passport, my bank statements, made sure who I was, utility bill, all of that kind of jazz, and then he got me on account. In essence, the overall amount that I paid to my solicitors, I think, was about £2,000. The full breakdown is on the Ultimate Guide group, so definitely go and follow us on Instagram. I ran through all of the figures. There's nothing there that you won't know, and if there is anything, let me know. Otherwise, yeah, pretty much everything is covered on that post. So as I was reading through the solicitor documentation, one of the things that was said was you might need to go and get your own surveyor. And I was super surprised by that, because I thought that I would have to rely on the lender's surveyor. But in essence, what you want to be able to do is do your own surveyor that is like appointed by you, and then you have the lender's surveyor, and the lender basically just rubber stamps, or the lender's surveyor rubber stamps the house. So provided that, you know, you haven't said that it costs £1 or something like that, they'll probably, for the most part, will just rubber stamp the agreement between the different parties. So the lender surveyor came, didn't really say much, just said, yeah, it looks like it will be a 483k property, so no problem. But my surveyor came back, and he had like, I feel like it was maybe like a 25-page report where he went through all of the house, like it was an intense process. And one thing that, so he came back with like different like traffic lights, and it came back with like red traffic light, orange traffic light, and yellow traffic light. And the one thing that stuck out to me that I was like, we definitely need to get this rectified, was the damp. They basically had said that there were high damp readings in the bay windows in the living room. And I was like, oh God, like I really didn't see any sort of damp when I was there. But in essence, super easy fix. You just say to the sellers, hey, the surveyors come back, there's high damp readings, either take it off the price so I can go and sort it, or go and sort it and let me know that you've sorted it, and provide me a certificate to let me know that you sorted it. So they chose the latter option, they sorted it, provided me a certificate, and now I have that warranty for 20 years. It's a pretty useless warranty, to be honest, because the person that did the damp surveyor is a useless human, but whatever, we'll push that to another side. Then the next thing that happened, which I didn't, and again, I really picked up on this during the renovation process, I really wish I had done a full surveyor report, because I was doing structural works to the property and I knew I was going to do structural works. So I took out 2 walls and put a shower downstairs, upstairs, and it's super important that you have that mentality. Like if you're going to do structural changes to your property, pay the money and do the full structural report, so you're aware of what is wrong with the structure, since you are changing the structure. And I didn't do that. Another thing that came up in the report that I didn't really think about was there were loads of these like popcorn ceiling things, and I put a picture of it if I have it, or a video of it if I have it. Super ugly, super not nice, definitely something to do with the 70s or 80s. And that also could be a sign of asbestos, because that's how basically like the material that they used in the 70s, 80s could have asbestos fibers. And because I was going to remove those things from the ceilings, I could release the fires and then release asbestos into the air. A whole level of treatment, thousands of pounds, all of that kind of jazz. And I read it on the report and I was like, well, that can't be for me, that's obviously for the sellers. Like, why would I need to care about that? Which is like wild, because it's my house, it's my house, so obviously I need to care about it. I ended up doing like a whole survey, came back fine, wasted £500, and I love that for me. The other thing that was flagged in the report is that the stairs like was completely shot. And what I really wish that I pushed on was that they should have had the stairs reinforced, rather than me having to do so. It wouldn't have cost them a significant amount, but they should have really reinforced the stairs. And also, so just to go back to the ceiling and the popcorn ceiling and stuff, the thing that's super unfortunate is that the reason why you had all of those popcorn ceilings in the 70s or 80s was basically to hide poor workmanship. And in essence, when the person who had done like the loft conversion of my house, they hadn't like laid the foundations as well as they could have. and so there was like joists messed up everywhere, like not the best, right? And so as a result, they were trying to, with the popcorn ceiling, hide the fact that the like foundations were moving a little bit. I mean, obviously it's completely fine and it's stable, but I really wish, again, that I had knowledge of all of this stuff before I went into the renovation process, because actually it's fine, and I wish I'd known that it was fine. But my builder that I had was making it seem as if it was an issue and making me worry and stress and loads of anxiety, all of that kind of stuff. Anyway, we moved. So the surveyor came, my surveyor came like mid-December. Bear in mind, sorry, I put the offer 1st of December. My surveyor came around the middle of December in 2020. I got the survey report back and nothing really happened until I got back into the UK, which would have been like mid-January. In that period, all of the things that I had flagged, they had sorted in the way that I just described them. The things that I didn't flag didn't really get sorted, which is great. Love that for me. So in any case, the last things that happened, so at the end of January, during January, sorry, my solicitor had gone and went to go and get the local authority searches. He then got those back at the end of January and pulled together a report on title. I looked through that report on title with a fine-tooth comb. Anything I didn't understand, we had like maybe an hour and a half to 2 hour conversation, me and my solicitor, or my sister and I, where I went through and I was like, I don't understand this, why is this important? I don't understand this, why is this important? And I literally made sure that I was like, I understood everything to the point where I could respond and repeat why it was important. You're on the hook for nearly like I'm currently on the hook for like 400 and something thousand pounds. I ain't gonna buy a place I don't know what is up. Like, I need to know what is up, like, so. And so my sister was super lovely about it, sat me down and made sure I understood absolutely everything. The next thing for me to do when I was happy with everything was to sign the documentation. There are 4 different types of documentation that you need to sign. The sales contract, which is obviously the contract for the sale. Then you also need to sign the mortgage deed, which is basically the deed for the mortgage that you're taking out. You also need to sign the TR1 deed, which is the deed which basically transfers title from the sellers to yourselves. And there was another one that you needed to sign, but I can't remember what it was. But anyway, the solicitor takes you all through it and tells you what exactly that you need to sign. Then what was not unfortunate, but what was a little bit like stressful during the whole process was the fact that I was a part of the chain. So obviously I was a first-time buyer, I didn't have a property to sell, whereas the people that I was buying the property from, so the sellers, they needed to sell, but they were going to buy a new place. So, and then that person who was going to buy that they were going to buy the place from also needed to buy a new place. So it was like 3 separate people in what's known as a property chain that all needed to go and get their local authority searches, all needed to get their report on title, and all needed to get comfortable with their report on title. So we, around like the middle of March, bear in mind that the stamp duty holiday was meant to expire at the end of March, we got confirmation that their searches and all that kind of stuff wouldn't come back until like the 1st of April at the earliest. So I sent a message back and I was like, listen, I don't have £10,000 or £15,000 to pay for stamp duty. Either you get me this done before the 31st of March, or like, you know, I'm gonna have to pull out the sale. Obviously this was before the stamp duty holiday got extended, and then we found out that the stamp duty holiday got extended, so that was fine. The searches came back like 2 or 3 days later, and then we were able to put a date of completion at the end of March. So we literally could have, without a doubt, been able to close at the end of March, but because there wasn't like a desperate need for us to, it ended up getting pushed. And so I finally, we exchanged I think on the 25th of March, and I ended up completing on the 8th of April of 2021, which is super cool. I did a whole reel of it and I've explained the whole process of how it is that I got my property, so I was super excited and that was super cool. I then renovated the whole property and I did a couple of videos here that you should definitely go and check if you wanted to see how it is I renovated the property. Also on our Instagram page I run through the whole renovation process, and I've got a video here which basically runs through the entire renovation process and how it is that we renovated my house. And now it is October 2022 and I am looking to move into the city. So again, and I think I'll probably put this in another video where I just talk a little bit about when I finally move into the city. I'll explain why it is I've moved, how the process works, there's a whole process of me now renting out this property that I will do in a separate video. I just wanted to really focus on me purchasing the property and me having it as a residential property for like 2 years, and now moving on to a buy-to-let. I'll do that on a separate video, and then like my flat viewings and moving into my flat, separate video. So definitely stay tuned. And if you want to see like all of the videos of all of my property journey, my property portfolio, what it is I'm planning, definitely leave a comment below. I want to see or hear about your property journey. But yeah, so that was super exciting, and I'm super happy that I bought the house. It's definitely served me well, and I definitely can't complain about where it is I am right now. There's a new phase in terms of my property journey that I'm super excited to start. But yeah, that was basically it. That was like my summary of going from having a 50k deposit, and I go through how it is I save that 50k in my budgeting video, so definitely go and check that out. So my 50k deposit up until I actually was able to like shake keys on the gram and be able to say that I have a house and I am a homeowner. And now we're moving into being a 2-property homeowner, and somebody who lives in London and has like a 1-point-something million pound property portfolio, and it's super exciting. Like, it's super wild that that's who I am right now. And I really want to have, like, I really want all of you guys to have a very similar success, a very similar story. So if there's anything that I've missed out, definitely let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, no, I'm super excited for the next couple of years. It's been a really cool journey, stressful and like anxiety driven, but worth it for sure. Alright guys, I hope that's been helpful. Definitely subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with anybody else who might find it helpful. Follow us on Instagram, and we'll see you next time. Bye.